Welcome, Fetty friends, to episode 2 of Fireside Fetty, take 2. I'm your host, Ozone. Fireside Fetty is a show about folks within the Fediverse. If you're seeing this, you are part of the Fediverse. My guest this week is MrFunkEDude, a self-defined, rational man with an absurdist kink, toot curator, cynical optimist, grounded psychonaut, live streamer, maker of bread, writer, zombie killer, amateur photographer, and he'll create content for food. Welcome, MrFunkEDude. I'm honored to have you on the stream. When I asked if you would join me, you were surprised as if you were just some random person on the Fediverse. But first off, that's what this is about. Us random folks on the internet. All of us. Let me start off by saying, during COVID, you had daily affirmations, just short little snippets, and it massively helped me personally. I think we were all going through a lot, right? But I was going through a lot. My wife was a nurse. We had a new baby. We had a toddler. We had dogs. And just those little things helped me immensely. And I can't.
That's enough. Yeah.
Thank you enough. Yeah. And I absolutely love those. So before we begin, how may I address you? Mr. Dude, his dudeness.
Call me Funk. Call me Funk.
The not dude, El Duderino.
The Dude Meister. Whatever works.
The Dude Meister.
As my grandmother used to say, you can call me whatever you want as long as you don't call me late for dinner.
Right? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty laid back with that as well. So, as long as it's anything that's not too aggressive. Right? And of course, my first question to you is: your beard's very mundane right now. You've moved it back a bit, but there was a time where you had pink and you had purple. But I think you told me before that the purple actually just faded and came into
fades out to pink. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Can you tell me about why you did that? And
sure.
I mean, it's wonderful. I love seeing those colors, especially on a
and I
big
may go
burly
back
guy.
to it. I may go back to it again at some point.
Okay.
The reason I had started it was because when I started being a live streamer before the pandemic, I had just finished live streaming on Twitch for a year. And at that time, there was this kind of trend where people would dye their hair when they had made affiliate for a year. And I had made an affiliate for over a year. And so I went ahead and did it. And I only meant to keep it for like 1 week. That was it. I was just going to keep it for a week, let it fade out, what have you. But I had this very interesting experience, which was that wherever I went somewhere during that week, I would have someone that would stop me and say, "Hey, I love your hair."
Yeah.
And at first I didn't really know how to react to it. It was kind of very like, "Oh, thanks." That's great. But I felt like it was a one-sided kind of thing, and I didn't like that. So I started giving compliments back. I'd say, "Oh, you have a beautiful blouse. You have beautiful hair. You have a beautiful smile," stuff like that. And it would create this little moment of joy between me and a complete stranger. And I got addicted to that. I really loved that feeling. I loved having that. And so I kept it on, and it wasn't for the attention or anything like that. It was just simply for that little moment of joy. And because it was just, how often do you experience something like that with complete strangers, right?
Right.
And it was just fun. And so I kept it. And the longer I kept it, the more people started associating me with it. And so then finally I went and had I went to where was it? Fiverr, .com. Had someone for like $35 make me up a caricature, an avatar that I could use. And then I started using that on all my social media stuff. And then it just kind of grew from there. And now it's to the point, well, however many it was, 5 years later. Now it's to the point when people see me without the purple, they kind of go like, "Wait, I feel like I've been cheated. Where's the purple hair?"
Yeah. I just thought that was your natural color.
That's an understandable thing. There's a two-sided thing to it, which is that whereas a lot of people like it, and I've never had anybody say anything bad to me in person. Like I've had grandmas, like Vietnamese grandmas love my purple hair. I've had like Vato gangsters love my hair. All this stuff. And it was all great, but sometimes online I noticed that it had a weird kind of effect. Like when I made those videos that you talked about at the top,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I had a lot of people that enjoyed them, but I think I had a lot of people that would scroll right past them just the moment they saw the purple, right?
Really?
Yeah. And I've even had a few people would comment that would say things like, I started listening, but when I noticed the purple, I stopped. That was their comments. And I didn't really take those that seriously. But then I started noticing that I think someone because I was on TikTok at the time when I was making those videos. I think that someone had, and I don't know if it was with TikTok or whatever, for whatever reason, I got shadow banned, or at least it felt like that, because my views started going from like 750 people to like 250 people. Start watching. So I started getting pushed out less and less and less and less. So I don't know if that was because of the purple hair. I don't know what their reasons would be or anything like that. But I did notice like a drop off. But I didn't have anything to put it up to. So I kept on making the videos and everything, and it got to a point where I felt like I was repeating myself with my messages. There were
Yeah. Sure.
several times where I'd made several videos where I was essentially saying the same message over and over again.
Yep.
So I stopped making those videos for that reason. But the purple hair, it was fun to have. It was beneficial in a lot of ways, but in other ways, I think it kind of like turned some people away from the message, maybe that were a little bit more conservative or a little bit, more, not into men having purple hair, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I mean, it's a personal choice, right? They have a choice
yeah,
not to watch you, but yeah, I think it's fun. It was unique. It was different, and
yeah,
it seems like there's a lot of folks in this culture are like, oh, that's really emasculating. I find it masculinely empowering. Like we have this idea
yeah,
that red is for girls and blue is for boys, and it's like that's
yeah,
a very societal thing, right? Like
yeah,
use the color you want to use, like, but. And I absolutely love that you kept it though because of the compliments. Like,
yeah,
we need to start normalizing, complimenting people. It doesn't cost
right,
anything, and I'm terrible with it as well. Just this last winter, I was at a Chinese festival, and someone's like, "Nice jacket," and I was like, what do you want from me?
What do you mean
Like,
by that? Yeah.
right? Yeah,
That's
like,
the first way I reacted to when someone complimented me on the air. I was so taken off guard that I was
right.
all like, oh, thanks.
We're
Like I
immediately
didn't know how to react
defensive.
to it.
Right, yeah, we're immediately defensive about a compliment. And like even if
Yeah,
the person is being sarcastic, it's still a compliment. Like, and you're allowed to take that how you want. And
yeah,
my wife and I, we had gotten in this idea, or well, I had kind of started it like I'm just going to compliment people.
yeah,
It doesn't cost anything. Like it can make someone's day so easily. Like, hey, I like your hair. Hey, I like your socks. Right. And
yeah,
my wife has picked up on it, and she's gotten even complimenting someone, you get kind of closed off and it feels weird, but you get this opportunity to, as you said,
yeah,
connect to people.
yeah,
And even my kids, I have 4 and a 7-year-old, even they've started doing it. And I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just compliment it. There's always something we can find. I don't care what
yeah.
side of the fence you're on. We can find something that we can agree
Something.
on.
Yeah.
And it starts with a simple compliment.
Yeah, the compliments I usually give are stuff like, "Oh, I love your smile." That's a like a
Yeah.
big one, because that's what they're coming at me with. They're coming at me with this big smile. They're going, "Oh, I love your hair," and
Yeah.
I love that smile. You know, right back at them like that. And they were just like everybody would be glowing, and they go, "Okay, that's all I wanted to say. That's great, no problem. Thanks. Have a great day." And they'd walk away. I mean, the interaction would last like 15 seconds, but I did
Right.
notice that people. You're right. People don't know how to react to compliments, and I think there's that first feeling of. I think what happens is they go through these like emotions. The first feeling when you're being complimented by someone is surprise. Like you're a little
Right.
confused because you don't know what's happening in that moment because it's
Yeah.
such an unexpected thing,
Right.
and so you're like, what, and you usually have to repeat yourself. No, I love your smile,
Yeah.
or something like, oh, thank you, now they want to know what you want from them. That's
Right?
they
Nothing.
start to get like a little paranoid. Like, what do you want from me? You go,
I
no,
just
that's
want
it.
to.
Okay, thanks.
I just want to be a human being with another human being, having a nice
Right.
time on this giant floating rock in space. Like, there's nothing. I have no ulterior motives here. And that's what it seems like even on the Fediverse too, is like we're still so entrenched in this idea of the algorithms leading us to something, right? And as soon as you see someone post something that you disagree and you can't get the tone, you can't get the context of it, but immediately like, I disagree and let me go say that. And we're all just yelling past each other. And that's one of the reasons I started this. And I mean, be honest, you're an easy person to talk to because you put yourself out there a lot, right? And you're always positive. Well,
not always.
Not always.
A lot of the times.
Right. And that's, I'll segue into this Mastodon post that you have here. And at the top of your Mastodon, you have Mr. Rogers. We all aspire, I hope, to be as wonderful as a human being as Mr. Rogers. But you said, if you follow me, you may eventually see content that you don't like. I am not a one-note Mr. Rogers clone who only talks about how much you rock, reminds everyone to be kind to each other. I am a multifaceted human being. I have many layers, and you may run into one you don't like. That's because I'm 100% real. That's too much. I wish you well, no shade. And I absolutely love that, right? Because again, while we all have something we can agree on, we are going to have differences. And if it's that difference that is so a part of you, then no problem. We're not going to see eye to eye, right? Like
the reason I had put that up is kind of funny. The reason I put that up was because I noticed that, like, okay, let me before I say it, let me say that following count, like how many followers a person has, doesn't really matter to me. Like, I don't really care that all the followers that I have, and I'm fortunate that I have a sizable audience somewhat. But that follower count is kind of misleading, so I don't really pay attention to it that much.
Right.
But I do find like statistics interesting. Like I like paying attention to like the numbers of when things go up, when things go down, because I find people's motivations, and this is just part of my character. I find it very interesting in seeing what motivates people and what gets people, going towards a certain direction. And I noticed that I would,
right?
I noticed I would get more followers when I would post things that were more positive. So like, if I like a week ago, I posted something about, what was it? It was something about making sure that you don't, that your instance owners don't have to beg you for money.
Right, yeah.
And that got like a couple hundred, hits and what have you. And from that, I got like, 20 new followers. Right. And so in previous things like that in the past, just kept noticing that the more positive things I would post, the more followers I would get. So there would be this kind of like expectation, or I felt like there was this expectation from people that I was always going to be this happy, positive go lucky person, but I'm a human just like anybody else.
Right.
I'm going to have bad days. I'm going to have good days. I'm going to have days where I'm feeling a little cantankerous, and I'm going to have days where I'm feeling like I want to shit on everything around me, and I'm not going to hold that back just to have an image that people can
just have a facade,
attach themselves to.
This fake character. You are a real person.
Right, exactly.
That's it, at my martial arts studio that I go to. I'm always amazed. There's a couple of guys that are senseis there. They're only like 19. And the one day I went into office, who we consider basically a community family and whatnot. And I told her, I was like, your son is just incredible. He's 19 and he treats these kids with so much respect. He has so much fun. And she's like, yeah, but some days, he doesn't want to clean up his room. A 19-year-old. I'm like, that's human.
Yeah.
Right. Like that doesn't discount any of the other things. Like that's just how we are. And she said, that means a lot. But I love that it is that be positive, be energetic, but
Yeah.
okay, feel okay to be yourself, right? And you don't have to sit there and take a beating and say, "Oh, thank you so much for hitting me," right? Like you don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't have to be submissive to be
Right.
positive. That's a thing that people often confuse for whatever reason, especially in Western cultures. We tend to equate someone who's being upbeat and someone who's being positive with someone who's being submissive. And I think the reason for that is because we have a lot of media about anger. We
Yeah.
have a lot of, like, there's a lot of movies where I'm sure you could think of a couple of them off the top of your head, where the hero has something done wrong to him and he uses that anger to fuel him to go and get revenge.
I
You
mean,
know,
full characters like Wolverine is
yeah,
the first instance
right,
that I
right.
think of. We all love Wolverine. We all love the anti-hero. And yeah, I agree. We kind of look at that, the kinder people as weakness. And
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you see kindness as weakness? I mean, I already know
Oh,
the
of
answer,
course not.
but
No, 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 not at all. I think in a lot of instances, it takes more strength to be kind because, uh, you know, it, like just going up to someone and giving them a compliment, for example, or just holding a door for someone or something like that, or offering, hey, you look like you're struggling with your groceries. Can I help and take you to your car? Something like that, right? Or can I hold this for you? Or something simple like that,
something,
right?
yeah,
Those simple kind of kindnesses that we can have. It's hard for people to put that out because of all of, they think that they're going to look that weird. They think that they're not going to be trusted. They think that, the other person is going to react poorly and what have you. So to be able to do that takes a sort of courage. It takes a
yeah,
sort of courage to be able to put yourself out there and to tell someone else, you know, oh, you're doing great. Here, let me help you with that, or something else like that, because it just throws people off. People these days are so, like, they're so insulated that when someone comes in and tries to burst through that wall and give them a compliment, they don't know how to react.
yeah. No, and I'm. My wife thinks I'm an instigator, but like I'll have times where someone just really frustrated me, and they're like, "Oh, gee, thanks," and I'm like, "You're welcome. Have a nice day." And like I mean it. I genuinely mean it. My wife is like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, but she knows it gets a rise out of them." I'm like, I can't do anything about that, right? Like
right,
I can't help how they interpret it, but I could
right.
still try to be kind. Like if you get annoyed at someone being kind, like I can't. There's not anything I can do with that. Like, and I genuinely mean it when I say those things to
It's
people.
really funny if you want an example of that. I always thought was interesting was is you can find, like, short form videos, or you can even find like YouTube videos or long form videos where people are trying to give things away. Like, the like one comes to a mind where there was this YouTuber who was trying to give laptops, like MacBooks,
Yeah,
away to college kids for free, and the amount of college kids that walked away when he said, "Hey, I'd like to give you this for free," just like blew my mind.
yeah,
And then finally one person was just like, is this real? Are you kidding? What do I have to give you? What do I have to? So automatically the paranoia starts coming up. Like, what is
yep.
this for? Why are you doing this? What is this? Why are you giving this to me? Is there something wrong with this? You know,
As
people
as
are
as
just,
an
they don't
IT
expect that.
nerd, yeah, no, as an
Yeah.
IT nerd, I would never take that.
Yeah. Right.
No.
It's just the paranoia comes up, but I think it's just because we live in this culture and this where compliments, especially from strangers, are
Yeah,
are are hard to deal with. You know,
yeah, no, absolutely.
and that's why kindness is needed even more. That's
I
kind of
agree.
my thinking.
Yeah.
So you got to normalize that shit.
Well, and it's hard to balance that, right? Though too is like
Yeah,
I tell my son, like, again with the whole beating people up, like he was getting picked on. I was like, you don't have to be nice. Like you are allowed to defend yourself. I want you to
yeah,
defend yourself. And he's like, but that's not nice. And I'm like, but they're already not being nice to you. Like
Yeah.
It's such a hard balance, especially to teach a
Well, you
little
have
kid.
to be nice to yourself first. You have to show
Right.
kindness to yourself before you can show kindness to others. And to me, letting yourself get beat up is not a kindness to yourself.
Right.
And being someone that's practiced martial arts as well, that if it's a matter of you can stop someone from being mean to you, stop someone from hurting you,
Right.
and you can do it in a way that doesn't hurt them as much as they wanted to hurt you.
Right.
So if you know what you're doing, if you're trained enough,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to escalate to be something. There's been times in my life where I've had to subdue people for different reasons, and you don't have to hurt them to do it.
Right.
So that's a kindness in itself. It's
Yeah.
like, motherfucker, I could have like kicked your ass and, and brought you
Yeah.
down, but I'm not. I'm just gonna hold you down here for a while until you can settle the fuck down.
Right.
So
Well, and it's if only when you don't have a choice, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the martial arts studio we go to. They tell the kids like, "Hey, someone's bothering you,
you walk
stop.
away. That's the first thing.
If they don't stop, try to walk away.
Yeah.
If they don't stop still, you start yelling for a teacher. If they don't stop still and they're putting hands on you, like you try,
defend
you warn
yourself,
them, right? Like protect yourself first. And I think
Yeah.
what you said there with you have to be kind to yourself. I don't know about you, but that's harder for me than it is to be kind to someone else.
That's hard for a lot of people, and that's why like a lot of those videos that I made have to do with kindnesses to yourself. Not very much of them were about kindnesses to others. A lot of them were about like, how do you take care of your mental health? How do you,
Right.
affirm yourself? How do you do all those things?
We'll talk about that because you and I have literally talked on your own cast before about my anxiety, and I believe you said you had anxiety, and how you
Big
go
time.
about managing that. So what do you do in that kind of instance?
So let me give you some perspective here. This was probably about, I want to say 13 years ago. And I was introduced to, kids don't try this at home. I was introduced to Molly's, ecstasy, the drug.
Okay. Hmm.
And at first, the first couple of times that I tried it, it was great, man. I loved it. I loved listening to music. I would love watching cartoons when I was on it. Me and my friends would just like laugh, so hard, and it was great. But then I would say about the third or fourth time I tried it, and I don't know if it was due to, and this is why you got to be careful, kids. I don't know if it was due to a bad batch or what have you, but I had a panic attack in the middle of what I was supposed to be this moment of ecstasy, right? That I started having this like full blown, I don't mean just, oh, I'm panicking. I mean like I couldn't
Yep.
talk. I all the blood left my head. I couldn't move. I was like so panicked that I froze. And it just felt like hell, and I hated it.
Yep.
And when it was over, I went like, what was that? What just happened? And then I thought nothing of it. Then a week later, I did ecstasy again, and I had another panic attack. And I went, oh shit, well, I'm not doing ecstasy anymore. Like that. But what happened was that even when I wasn't doing ecstasy, I started having panic attacks. And I realized now at the time, I'll be honest, my marriage was coming to a close. At that time, I was having a lot of issues with people and with things and with myself and what have you. So I started going to therapy, and therapy gave me the tools that I needed to learn to mitigate the feelings of the anxiety. And it took probably a good year of practicing these tools, doing all these things before I could take a hold of that anxiety and deal with it in a daily manner. I think the last anxiety attack I had was I was at a restaurant with my girlfriend, and it was a steakhouse, really nice steakhouse. And for some reason, when I saw the bill, even though my girlfriend was picking up the bill at the time because she had a way better job than I did,
right?
I just triggered me and I panicked. That was the last real panic attack that I had, which is probably about like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But it was no joke. And I think one of the things that it did in me is not only opened up my own mind to healing, to like, because like before I was like, oh, I just got to push this down. I just got to ignore this, and just made it worse and worse and worse. Therapy changed my life. Therapy not only helped me learn to deal with my anxiety, but it got me out of a really bad marriage. And it put me in a position where when I met my current girlfriend, I was a lot healthier of an individual. I was a lot more put together. I was, so therapy saved me for that. That's why I became such a big, proponent of therapy for people as well. And I've talked to a lot of people over the years about, the benefits of therapy and what it is and what it isn't. And I put a lot of that in my videos. Like there's a lot of my videos that talk about therapy and talk about what therapy is, what to expect from therapy, what therapy isn't, things like that. So yeah, it was important.
The other stuff is just coping mechanisms, right? Like, I mean, I've struggled with alcohol. I've never really done drugs. I've tried pot twice. The hardest thing that I've been on recently is CBD, but I accidentally messed up with CBD because with all of the situation that's going on, I'm having some struggles with it. So I took some CBD, and a couple hours later, I was like, okay, this is still here. I'll take a Xanax because that's what my doctor gave me for, and I take a half. And it's like, okay, well, I'm okay. And then we went out to dinner that night, and it seems like those things don't hit me until I eat, and they both hit together. And I was like, we have to, like, we were done eating, but I told my wife, we got to go home right now. And I was checking my BP as she was driving home. She's a nurse again. And I'm like, I timed it. It's 120. I was like, is that terrible? And she's like, it's a bit high. It's okay. She's like, you're fine.
Yeah.
And then she's looking it up because she's a nurse. She's like, how can I help? And she's like, well, what about focusing on a video game? And I tried a video game. I was like, nope. And then she's like, well, what about a movie? Do we have Spaceballs? And I was like, please get me Spaceballs. And because I could quote the whole movie word for word. It literally is my favorite movie. And, but those drugs, and we have accidents. We are human. But I know for me, therapy was, we're taught math. We're taught English. We're taught history. We're not taught how to manage our emotions. We're not taught about how to adapt to our history.
Well, we're taught very little about how we think and why we think the things that we do, and how we can manage those thoughts. And for me, what got me through what I learned in therapy was how to meditate.
Yes,
and it was that form of mindfulness meditation that I learned that I kept doing it, and it helped me. And even today, I still meditate. I meditate today probably about 2 hours out of the day. Oof. About an hour of the morning, an hour in the morning, and the hour in the towards the end of the evening, or towards the end of the afternoon, I should say. Like around, so my times are like around 9 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and there's 2 different forms of meditation that I do. I split them in the morning, and then I split them in the afternoon, like 20 minutes for this meditation, 30 minutes for this meditation.
Yeah.
And it's helped me a lot over the years. I'm a big proponent of meditation. I'm a big proponent of therapy for those reasons. But, it starts with people recognizing that they need to make a change. It starts with people recognizing that there's help and that they can do something about it. And what I've found for people when it comes to therapy, and I've talked to a lot of people about therapy over the years, and I probably say the number one thing that stops people from going to therapy is they don't understand what therapy is.
Yep.
They think they have this idea, and it's from TV mostly, or from the movies, it's from media. They think that what therapy is that you go in and you sit down with someone, and that person tells you everything that you're doing wrong. And that's not what therapy is. Like
bad therapy. Bad therapists.
That's bad therapist. Yeah. That's
right.
Bad
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had to explain to people that therapy, your therapist is supposed to be trained to be unbiased.
Yep.
They're not supposed to give you their opinion. What they're
Yeah.
supposed to do is reflect back to you what you're saying to them, and then put it into a context that is easily for you to digest, so that you can be more introspective, so that you can say, oh, so this is why I'm doing that. So this is where that comes from. So, oh, I see. This is what is this is how my behavior is leading to that thing. A good therapist doesn't tell you what to think. A good therapist allows you to discover how you think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell to people. So that's like the biggest thing they have a misunderstanding of.
Yeah. And helps you process. Like I did EMDR, which it's amazing how I know these events in my life and I don't realize that that's what's causing, and it's practice. Like I've been with my current therapist. I have scheduled next week after about not talking to her about 3 to 6 months, but yeah, you need a checkup. And knowing that these events in your life, your brain is, it's literally a series of wires and it's all interconnected, and finding out what is causing that and being like, I'm not there, I'm here. And I found also that kind of meditation, I don't do 2 hours and I've gotten out of the habit of it, but I need to get back into it. Even 5-10 minutes can help bring you back to
center yourself.
Are. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that meditation does, and I'll admit, when I first learned through therapy how to do the mindfulness meditation, it was specifically about anxiety. And the way I treated it then was that I treated it like a medicine. Like I took it while I was healing, but after I felt I was healed, I stopped taking the medicine because I didn't feel like I needed it any longer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like years, like almost a decade later, in fact, it was last year that I rediscovered meditation again. And I discovered it in a way that it just opened up so much for myself. And it's one of those things that I don't look at it as a chore. I gotta go do my meditation. I look forward to my meditations now, like a kid looks forward to, I hate to say it, but like a fat kid looks forward to a chocolate cake. That's how I look forward to my meditation.
We all look forward to chocolate cake. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
No, that's good. Yeah, you start to desire it. That's again, I do
because it teaches
Maga,
you how to.
You start to crave it.
Well, what meditation does is it teaches you, first of all, how your brain works. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. The biggest thing that I learned from learning how to really properly sit down and meditate was that it gave me insight to, like, let's put it like this. One of the things that I've adopted in the last year is I've really cut down how much of the past or how much of the future that I think about.
Yeah.
And that was surprisingly difficult to do. Because the past, because you'd be surprised. There's a challenge that I give people that I talk to about meditation. They go, I don't know if I want to do that, and what have you. And there's this there's a challenge that I give people, and it's the washing. I call it the washing dishes challenge. And it's simple. When you go to your sink to wash the dishes for the day or for the night or what have you, I tell people, just think about washing the dishes. That's it. Yeah. When you're washing the dishes, just think about that. Just think about how the water feels against your hand, how the soap feels in your hand, how the dishes feel in your hand, how clean you're getting that dish. Only focus on the dish, and then pay attention to how often you think about other things other than doing the dishes.
Yeah.
And I've had people come back to me and just go, I tried to focus on just doing the dishes, but I kept having all these other thoughts pop up, and I didn't realize. I go, you know how often you do that during the day?
Yeah.
Do you know how often you think about, your brain just comes out of nowhere and just throws thoughts at you that you didn't even ask for? They just get in your way.
And I mean, that's one of the hardest things with meditation itself, right? You're like, no, I'm supposed to be relaxed. And then and it's interesting because you have to learn that's how we are. And you have to realize, I'm going off on a tangent. Let me put that aside for right now and come back to here.
Yeah, really, well, see, that's amazing. The thing is most people think that meditation is about relaxation. And I always correct them on that. It's not. It's about focus.
Yep.
That's what meditation is. And that seems kind of counterintuitive to people because you think, well, how do you get to a point of relaxation by focusing? By concentrating. That doesn't sound like very relaxing. I have to concentrate
Yeah.
for 20 minutes. What are you talking about? How is that?
Yep.
How is that relaxation? But there's something that happens when you start to become really focused on one thing, is that your brain starts, trying to come in. It starts trying to interrupt you. But the more you do it, the lower the voices of those other thoughts pop in, and
Yep.
you get better at noticing those thoughts.
Yes.
You get better at going, oh, that's a thought about the future. Oh, that's a thought about the past. Oh, that's a fake thought I'm having about it, a conversation I'm having with someone that I haven't even had yet. How much of our lives do we spend having conversations with other people that we never actually have with them?
Yeah.
And it was through meditation that I realized, I have had all of this wasted brain space that has just been going on. So I try to make an effort now to, like, when I start thinking about the past, because we tend to beat up ourselves up about the past, right?
Yep.
When I start to think about the past, I'll stop myself. I'll go, oh, that's a thought about the past. That doesn't do me any good right now. That's not helping me right now.
Right.
And if I start thinking about the future, I'll think to myself, I'll stop myself and go, wait, that's a thought about the future. That doesn't exist. That's a speculation. I don't know if that's going to really go that way. I don't know if that's even going to be needed. Why am I wasting time? And the thing is, I would get upset thinking about the past. I'd remember things I did in the past, so I would kick myself for it. Or I would start to get anxious about things that I would think would happen in the future. 80% of the time, those things never happened.
Right.
But yet I was allowing myself to get upset about them. So I started taking more of an effort to go, stop myself. Okay, hey, what is that?
What can I
how
do
do I
right
recognize
here,
that?
now?
Right. And that's what meditation teaches you, is that when you're meditating and you have those stray thoughts come in, if you recognize it and go, oh, that's a thought about my past, and then you go back to your breathing or to your mantra or whatever it is you're using, it's a way to train your brain to recognize for those thoughts. And once you start training your brain to recognize for those thoughts, it becomes much easier to handle them. You can dismiss them much easier.
Have on a kind of random tangential thought.
Go ahead.
Have you seen Inside Out 2?
No, I haven't seen that yet. No.
Oh my god.
Oh wait. I saw Inside Out. Inside Out 2. No, I haven't seen 2 yet.
Yeah. See Inside Out 2. Like, Inside Out is great. I love it. Inside Out 2, in my opinion, again, someone that really struggles with anxiety, it addresses that first and foremost, right up front. And I found it absolutely beautiful. And I tell everyone about it. And actually, the one day I was not having a good day with my anxiety. And my kids were, like, are you okay? And my wife is like, Daddy's having a rough day right now. And and my oldest was like, well, how can we help? And I was like, you remember in Inside Out 2, this specific scene? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I just need to calm myself and bring myself down. That's what I'm feeling. Like, it is the most, it's the closest thing that I've ever seen to a depiction of anxiety. And not only that, but how it works, like trying to predict the future, losing control in the present, and then how to get back to a spot of, how am I okay? And it's beautiful. I recommend everyone see Inside Out 2. So pivoting, I guess, a little bit is
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said go ahead. You said you're pivoting. I said go for it.
Oh, okay. So when did you find the Fediverse? When did you join? I think I saw you, I think in 2021. How did you find it? Like, what were your expectations with it, if you had any?
So I first found out about the Fediverse when it first came out. Like, when Mastodon first came out of beta and went public and everything, a friend told me about it. And I, thought it was really interesting. This is probably back in, I know if you look at my Mastodon account, this is actually the Mastodon account I have now. It's my second account.
I've had tons.
It was the first one I had was under another name, and it was kind of like, I had it for like a year. I played around with it a little bit with my friend, and I would post stuff every now and then, or I'd post stuff because I was on Twitter at the time before it went to shit, and and I would repost things from Twitter onto Mastodon, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I started getting less and less enamored by Twitter, and I'd already left Facebook, and so I really I was getting more into Mastodon because I liked the idea of decentralized and federated, and what have you. And then I think it was about 2018 where I think I made a second account or something like that, and that was this account. So yeah. And then it's just been Fediverse ever since. I'm a big proponent of it. I'm a big fan of it, just because as I keep calling it, it's the people's social media.
Yes.
It
is
it
actually
really is.
the city center. Like anyone can stand there, say whatever they want. You don't have to listen to it.
Right.
But this is ours. I think you're a bit older than I am. But you saw the start of the internet. You saw how crazy weird people can be, and it was ours. And I see this as a way to claw that back. And that's actually why I started the show, because I want to help foster those kinds of things. I'm a huge proponent of it as well. Even the people that I don't want to, talk to, really, they still have a right to not have their voice suppressed in their fields. I might massively disagree with it, but some random billionaire shouldn't get to decide who's allowed to say what.
Right. The what I always like to compare it to, and I know it's going to sound strange at first, but to me, the Fediverse is a lot like bicycles. And the reason I give that is because what a lot of people don't realize, they look at bicycles and they think, oh, it's for exercising or whatever. But when the bicycle first came out, it was really a low-cost way for people to have transportation.
Yeah.
And you think that's crazy, like compared to horses or cars or what have you. But if you look at the history of the bicycle and see how it, like, for instance, the suffrage movement, for women's rights, the bicycle had a huge part in that people don't realize, is because it gave women the opportunity to go farther distances. It gave women the opportunity to gather together, and what have you. So it was a real big thing for people. In the same way, it was as the Fediverse. The reason I make the comparison is because Mastodon and the Fediverse, along with it, are ways for people to do basically the same thing, to get together in a sense of community, to socialize with each other. And it doesn't rely on big corporations to facilitate it for you. In the same way that having a bicycle, you don't have to rely on gasoline. You don't have to rely on a repairman to fix your car. You don't have to rely on all those things. It just makes it more simplified for the person to use and to do what they need to do. And that's the same way I see the Fediverse. It's the people's, social media, and it gives everybody an equitable way to do that.
So the bicycle thing, I actually have a Wright brothers book that I've been reading, and I never knew that the bicycle was such a divisive piece of technology back in the day, because there were people that are like, your daughters are going out and who knows what they're doing. And it's like, it's a bicycle. Like, and it's interesting that I saw the parallels then with some of the parallels we see now. Like, we're going through this massive technological change, which is kind of what the bicycle and definitely the airplane and car helped bring. We got farther faster, right? And I love that idea. That's great.
It just gives people more of a freedom.
Right.
It gives them a more personal freedom.
Yes, 100%. And it's funny because over the last couple of years, I've tried to tell people, like, the big tech companies, there's nothing that they do that you can't do. You're not going to have 10,000 people on an Owncast unless you have the money for it, right? But it's not, you don't have to be on Twitch. You can run your own. Like, I was on Twitch for a number of years, and I'm just like, I don't like the route they're going. And I never had Twitter, Facebook, or any of that. But Twitch, it's like they have a fiduciary responsibility to make money. Right. And I'm just like, I'm not a part of that. I still watch it. I don't have anything against anyone that's on there, but this can work. All of us, doing what we want. Can we could claw that back and take that
Well,
back.
it depends on what your goals are. If your goal
That's
is
true,
to
yes.
have like thousands of people watching you
Right.
and making thousands of dollars and what have you, then obviously you're going to need a place that has a larger audience. And
Yeah.
and that's probably that's the advantage that a place like Twitch has
So far.
Yeah, so far over like Owncast or PeerTube or
Right.
any other place like that. But the other side of that is that there's certain things that you have to give up in return for that.
Yes.
You know, it's you have to give up. You have to be more careful of the content. You have to be more careful that you don't do anything or say anything to offend the advertisers or to offend the platform. You have to be careful about like I remember one time, because like I said, I used to be on Twitch. I remember one time I got an entire live stream afterwards. The VOD was muted. The entire VOD was muted because I was live streaming at a fast food restaurant called Raising Cane's, and I was sitting outside with my daughter, and I was just doing a live stream where we were eating and talking, and these group of like high school kids came up and started talking to us. We had this fun conversation, and it was really nice. And then when I came back afterwards to see the VOD had been muted entirely because Raising Cane's was playing music on their speakers.
Yep.
And that was coming through on my live stream. And because that's copyrighted music, the whole thing got, demonetized. It got, muted and what have you. And I was so pissed off at that. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm in a public place. I'm listening to music that's being played in public. Why are you how am I expected to have any kind of control over that? So it's things like that you give up when you're dealing with corporations. Now with Owncast or PeerTube, I don't give a shit. I play music when I want to play music.
Right.
I don't have to worry about those things, because I know that the DMCA isn't going to come looking for me.
And I think that we can agree that artists should make money, right? But you are not making a cent off of you playing a game, listening to whatever you're listening to. Like, it's not about that. And it's kind of insane with that. But what does success look like to you for the Fediverse, or what is your goal with the Fediverse, or even just a success or goal personally?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this kind of seems like two different questions to me. The first is, what do I personally see as success for the Fediverse? Is just its continued adoption. I think it's been succeeding. I think that people have like the wrong thinking when it comes to like the Fediverse versus like corporate social media, in the sense of that, it hasn't grown as fast. Like, let me give you an example. When Blue Sky came out, Blue Sky went from 0 followers, 0 users to like 14 million users within like a 2-3 month period.
Right.
It just really like went up, and those numbers may be completely made up off the top of my head, but you get the idea. So they got a lot of users really, really fast. Mastodon hit 2 million users like a year ago, but their average amount of users is below 1 million, as far as like engagement and actual users. But that's still growth. It's still growing. Like when I got on it in like 2017 or whatever it is, I think there were like 5,000 users at the time, something like that. So it wasn't like hugely adopted. It was like, I think 4 or 5 instances or something like that.
Yep.
But it became more popular. But the thing is, the rate of popularity hasn't ever dropped. It either goes up and then it plateaus, and then it goes up and then it plateaus, but it never really goes boom. It doesn't like drop to 0 or anything like that. What it doesn't have is the funding that corporate social media has, and because of that, they have the advertisement, and also because of that, they have kind of a trust with with people that the Fediverse simply doesn't have, because people don't have the experience with with personal social media, or like the Fediverse, as they would with corporate social media. So like
Right.
what I say is the difference is you go into a corporate social media and let's say you join it. Well, you create a username and then you just start using it. But with like the Fediverse, you create a username after you've selected, which instance that you want to go and
Yeah.
join. And what's an instance? What's the difference between an instance and a server? So you're required to learn a few
Yeah.
new things. And the thing is, these things are easy to learn. Like, I completely reject the idea that the Fediverse is a difficult thing to learn. It's not. If you've learned how to use email, you can learn how to use the
That's
Fediverse. It's not
yeah.
really that much different, but it has to do with people's expectations.
Right.
They expect it to be like every form of corporate social media that's out there, where you're thrown on to their server and you can choose your username. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
And
And you're fed people to follow by an algorithm, right?
yeah, right.
When new people are coming on, I tell them aggressively follow. If there's someone that seems any bit interesting, follow them.
Right.
Because you can always
Right.
unfollow, but you want that information. You want to find others like you. That's why we're here to talk, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing that people don't understand about doing that work for themselves. They think that it's better to have it given to them, and they're told, and that's a great way to start off. But after a while of having that, you start to realize, hey, I'm not seeing all of my friend Ted's posts, or why is my wife's post being, like, why am I seeing at the bottom instead of the top? I want to see those at the top because you just said it. Why aren't I seeing it? Or something else like that. There's trade-offs for that. There's trade-offs for that easy walk on the onboarding,
Right.
which is that you're simply dumbed down somewhat.
Yeah.
And that's why I like the Fediverse, because it's a different thing that you have to learn, but you have so much more control, and you're not worried about corporations. And if your instance is the guy or the person that runs your instance is being a jerk, well, guess what? Pick up your bags and you can go to a different instance, and you don't have to worry about it. Or ultimately, you can start your own if you wanted to.
Yep.
And that's a freedom that the corporate social medias don't have. And to me, it's a no-brainer. The Fediverse and is much, much, much better, healthier place to be within corporate media. Social media would be.
So what's a goal or
I know we're talking about success. I didn't really answer that, did I?
No. I think it's valid in that, it's basically just going to keep growing, right? Is what you're saying.
So I think that's it's success is what I'm saying is that you can't compare the success. You can't compare the success of
yes,
like Blue Sky to, like, let's say Loops that's coming out. The new Fediverse TikTok thing, Loops. You can't compare those two, because corporate social media has a huge advantage, and that's why people who are interested in making money flock to it, is because of that advantage.
Right. See, and I think that corporate social media has an advantage in that aspect, but the way I see it is we have an advantage in, like you said, we can pick up and go somewhere else if we want to. People have to remember that if you're on someone else's server, that's their server. That's like going into their house. So you can go somewhere else if you choose, but a lot of big tech has been chasing the next big thing, right? It's always chasing the next big thing. And with the Fediverse, you can build the next big thing.
Right.
And then they might try and catch up. And that's what I love, because it's so open. And Blue Sky it's open. It's defederated, it's federated, but it is not. Anyone can't just extend it. Right. Yeah.
Is it though?
So what does success, or what is a personal goal that you have for yourself?
So for like me, I don't really have goals when it comes to success in what I do. Like for like my live streaming, I don't have any goals for that. I tell people, for me, live streaming is like I'm sitting on a park bench. I'm just waiting for people to walk by so I can strike up conversations with them. To me, if someone comes in and starts talking with me, that's success. I've been successful for the day. I had 2 people today that talked to me on my live stream. That's a great success. So I got to socialize in that instance, and that was great, especially for me, because I'm at home a lot. I have mobility issues. I have arthritis in both of my knees. So like I can't walk that far, and I it's a struggle. And so I spend a lot of time at home, and so that's kind of what Mastodon and Owncast and PeerTube are for me. Is they're social outlets. They're a way for me to feel like I'm connecting with other people,
Build a
and
community.
that building a community.
Yeah.
So I don't really have these ideas of like success and what have you. To me, it's just like oh, what fun can I have today?
Yeah.
If I can get through to someone, in a positive way, I see that as a success. If someone's watching more of my, mental health videos, I think that's a success. Like when I get people like you that come to me every now and then and go, "Hey, I watch these videos. I want to let you know that that really meant a lot to me." To me, that's a success.
That's awesome.
And I go, "That's great. That's great."
Community from the comfort of your own couch.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. This is going to be a bit random, but what are your thoughts on the fish mole emote?
On the what?
So
say that again.
The fish mole emote. We have
fish mole emote. I'm not sure I know what that is.
I don't have anyone to chat, I don't think, right now, but it's like, blobfish, when they took blobfish out of the water. Oh, Logal's got it for me. That's our fish mole emote. A couple of us on Owncast. We're trying to make it, Twitch has specific emotes. We're trying to make our own community emote.
Right.
So if you want it for your own cast, let us know. We also
I'm gonna look out for it.
We also have fish molette now as well. So
that's funny.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's inside joke for us, so we go with it. So
I kind of once thought that the symbol for Owncast should be a fishing reel, and no one else got that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that.
That's your own cast.
Yeah. And you're fishing for other people, right? That's the way I look at it.
There you go.
I mean, my first interview was with Gabe, so if you want to hear the story about the Owncast,
I'll have to check that out.
Icon. So now for the real reason I asked MrFunkEDude here. You don't know this part. We didn't get to this part.
Okay.
In take one. Is to give him the opportunity to win a prize of a lifetime.
Okay.
Our prize today is a half-scratched bootleg copy of the movie Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I have, actually.
It's terrible, and I love it.
Horrible movie. It's beautiful.
There's one dude in that movie that just gives it his all, though. He doesn't care, and it was great. But
right.
We did think about buying the entire Fediverse for you, but no one would take nachos as a currency.
Yeah, it's okay. It's understandable.
Are you ready for the quiz?
Sure, give it to me.
Favorite movie and why is it Spaceballs?
My favorite movie and why is it Spaceballs? Well, because I'll tell you, because for a long time, I've always felt that the Schwartz was with me. And then when I saw Spaceballs, I realized why the Schwartz was with me. Yeah. So I think that's probably the biggest reason why Spaceballs is my favorite movie.
Love it. Purple or pink?
Purple.
Beer, cheese, or monkeys?
Beer, cheese, or monkeys? Wow, that's a tough one. I am going to have to go with the cheese. Cheese, yeah.
What does alternate universe MrFunkEDude do?
What does alternate Mr. Universe FunkEDude do? He's probably a teacher.
A teacher? Okay. The one that we talked to, because I have an alternate universe phone here. The one that we talked to, he's actually said he's a divorce lawyer for howler monkeys.
That's probably, I could see that, definitely could see that. Well, I don't know about the howler monkeys. I mean, from what I understand, howler monkeys don't pay that well. So, I wish the best for him.
I mean, it is an alternate universe, so who knows?
Yes.
You're driving a bus. 5 people get on, 4 people get off, 2 people get on, 17 people get off. What color are the bus driver's eyes?
Well, blue if I'm driving the bus.
Yeah. Windows, Mac, or Linux?
Linux. In fact, I've almost been a year on Linux now. So I gave up Windows last year.
I'm going on 18 years.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I'm a major nerd. So, and as usual, the last question is going to be sent telepathically. So here comes.
Okay.
Your answer? Oh, geez, I think I did it too hard.
Okay, my answer, I'm going to try to simplify it for everybody else.
Sure.
Just because someone who debates on Mastodon is a masto debater does not mean you need to take your clothes off. So the answer to your question is no, you don't have to take your clothes off if you're debating on Mastodon. I understand the confusion, but let's just put that to rest.
Love it. Congratulations. You got every answer, either right or wrong. Good job.
You know, I knew it was going to happen. I knew how I was going to do it. I knew either I was going to get it right or I was getting it wrong. I'm just happy that I had any answer at all.
Yeah. So we went ahead and sent our community member, Hylas. He's from Down Under. There promptly to give you your prize, which remember was that half-scratched bootleg copy of Plant. Oh, wait, sorry, what? I'm getting word that Hylas thought he could just dig through the center of the earth. Oh, and he did. He actually did dig through the center of the earth. Oh, okay. But because he's from Australia. No, he's from Australia, so the gravity is upside down, so he just kept going straight through, and he's in outer space now. So
it's okay. I understand.
I'll see if I can get you.
I'll just keep my own copy handy. No worries.
There you go. Oh, if you guys haven't seen that movie, don't.
Yeah.
You have to go in expecting some really bad stuff. But hey, more power to the people that made money off of that. I mean,
well, yeah. You know what? Actually, I like to tell people the best obscure. If you really want to see a really strange, obscure movie, right? Go and look for a movie called Rubber. And it is crazy. It is about a sentient car tire that goes on a killing spree.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long time. I don't really remember, but yeah.
It is a wacky movie. And it is crazy. But I love it. I love that movie to death. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the end of our show.
That's it.
Before we go, I do have to mention our sponsor, Liquid Schwartz.
Oh, Liquid Schwartz.
Whether it's bringing down a Mega Maid or a Mog helping your body, don't forget your can of Liquid Schwartz. Pick it up at any local Winnebago dealerships or Gus's Galaxy Grill near Jupiter 2. And may the Schwartz be with you. What a world. Thank you, Mr. Funky Dude, for putting up with my insanity. I greatly appreciated it. So,
a lot of fun. Thank you.
Fetty friends, I hope you guys all have a great day. Do me a favor. When the VOD goes out, if you can share it, boost it, like it, comment, whatever you want to do to let me know whether you like it or not, that's great. There's no algorithms. I don't get paid for any of this. There really is no sponsorships, but I'm doing this to help the Fediverse flourish. So folks like it, please let me know. Please share it out. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much, Mr. Funky Dude.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a good one. Bye, all.